dogs should be too. All right. Well, thank you so much, everyone, for joining us for episode 2 of the Lyndsie Live Show. And we have the beautiful Alannah today. And yeah, here she is, drinking out of her awesome pineapple cup. I still have the shrug. Cheers. Cheers. Yeah. So thanks so much for joining us, Alannah. I don't have a whole lot of exciting announcements to make. Last month, I told everyone about the upcoming Money Success for Moms workshop, which is actually happening now at the Cochrane Library in September. It's official. I'm so excited. The first thing I have for you, I need to share my screen, close down my Jake Owen country music that we were just listening to, and share screen. Dun, 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 dun. So before I introduce Alannah, well, I kind of have introduced her, but I haven't really told you much about her. But before I introduce her, I want you guys to see this video, which will help you understand what Alannah and I are going to be talking about today. So here we go.
Lotteries were created to get a lot of people getting a little bit of money to benefit worthy things. So lots of people are required to be in that in order for the system to work. But some random events aren't always fun. They downright suck, like jury duty. But you need a lot of people in that too. Car accidents, plane crashes, floods. If someone said you had the chance to have a tornado hit your house, would you want in? Who would? Just imagine, you might need all kinds of money to take care of the problem. You might need to quit your job because you can't work. You might need a new house or an operation. Those are all things that require money. But what if there were like a reverse lottery for things like that? Everyone has a chance to win that reverse lottery. There are 300 million people in the country, and each one of them puts in $2 a week for random sucky things. That's like $31 billion put away in this big pool. And if you were in when that random thing happened, you'd be allowed to get the money to fix the problem. Of course, there have to be rules to make sure that people pay in a fair amount and receive a fair amount when they need it. Maybe there should be odds of some kind. The things you can control, like smoking, like diet, like wearing a seatbelt. But when it comes to getting money when the random thing happens, it should probably be just enough to get people back to normal. If they went back to better than normal, that would be weird, because then it would make people want to lie. It wouldn't work if people lied. The event is really random. It could happen today. It could happen 10 years from now. It could happen never. But what if you were to participate in a reverse lottery and you didn't win, meaning that you didn't get any money out of it? How would you feel? I guess that would mean that something that sucks didn't happen to you. It's good you didn't win, but you participated. Maybe a family was able to get a new roof after a tree fell on it. Maybe a kid was able to go to college after his mother died when he was 14. Maybe someone was able to have a life-saving operation that they couldn't afford. If this kind of reverse lottery were to exist, and you had a lot of people, smart people, making sure it was fair and square, would you be in or out?
But yeah, we're just here to have a discussion about sort of this reverse lottery concept and how a person can participate in that and what that looks like. We're not here to scare people. We're not here to, freak you out or anything like that. But we're here to talk about things like, bad things happen to people. We see it happening all the time. Some of those people were somewhat prepared for that, and some of those people weren't. So Alannah and I have known each other for about a year, and we've been doing a little bit of work together for some of my clients. But once again, I'm not even going to mention Alannah's last name. I'm not going to mention the company she works for, because we are here strictly to help you. We're not here to sell you anything. So Alannah, I'd like you to share a little bit about yourself without any of those things I just mentioned, and also a real life story that you know about that has to do with this reverse lottery concept.
For sure. Thank you, Lyndsie, for having me. And good afternoon to everybody. Hope you're staying cool on this hot summer day. So a little bit about myself. As Lyndsie mentioned, I met her about a year ago. Prior to me being on the company side, which I will not mention which company I'm with, But prior to that, I was doing a role similar to Lyndsie's, actually. So I got to work with clients on a one-on-one basis, and I really found a passion in helping people. I was recruited to the company side to actually help the advisors. So one thing I did want to share was actually a personal story that happened when I was on the advisor side. So I worked in a company, not going to say who it was with, but another advisor that was working alongside with me sold a life insurance policy to a young family, 35-year-old male and a 35-year-old female, and they had 2 children. So they bought some life insurance, and the advisor said, have you heard about critical illness? And they said, what is that? So if you do or you don't know, critical illness is a lump sum tax-free benefit that you receive if you're diagnosed with a condition that falls under the policy terms. Now, obviously, there's certain stipulations and rules, but we won't get into that. So the husband and wife sat back and he said, you know what, we're really budget conscious. I don't think I want to add anything. So just as any financial advisor would do, they left it on the table. They explained it. A few days later, the wife actually called and said, you know what, we've thought about it. If something were to happen to myself or my husband, would we have money to take time off work? Would we have money to hire somebody to care for our children? Could we afford surgeries if we needed to, if we both need to take time off work? So she convinced her husband, as a wife usually does, and they took a term 10 $75,000 critical illness rider on their life insurance. So $75,000 at the time, that was his base salary. And she said, you know what, if something were to happen, that would be sufficient for us. So years go on, and 3 years down the road, the husband called up our advisor and said, unfortunately, I have some bad news. I've been diagnosed with kidney cancer. I've been starting my treatment, but I want to know if this critical illness falls into place. Absolutely it did.
Mm-hmm.
So we got to deliver a $75,000 check, tax-free. They could do whatever they want with it.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, the wife took some time off work. They actually took their children on a trip because they survived it, and it was obviously terrible. Cancer is horrible, and I know it affects many of us.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the insurance company does not decide what you do with that cash. If you want to go on a trip, you want to put a down payment on a summer home to live life. So yeah, they took a trip, and they were able to pay down some debt that they...
That's awesome. And a lot of people assume that something like this is super expensive and out of, the budget type of a thing. But what a lot of people, I think, fail to realize is that they're spending a lot of money on insuring their assets. They're spending a lot of money on insuring their home. And a lot of people, and, my parents taught me that your home is your greatest asset. It's your most important asset. And really, it's not. Your most important asset is your ability to produce income. So like the couple in the story, ensuring that 1 year of his income was so smart because that bought them some time to figure stuff out. And luckily he survived. But there are times when, when that doesn't happen, and that money is really helpful. So like, once again, we're not here to scare you, but we are here to help you ask yourself the right questions about what it is that you want your financial picture to look like. So yeah, we're just here to present concepts and strategies. And I think that video about the reverse lottery really helps a person think like, if I could put my money in a pool with a bunch of other people's money and have it managed by some really smart people. You have to drink at the same time, by the way. Why wouldn't I do that? Right? So, for example, if we were to say, I ran a couple numbers just for example's sake for this video. And so if a 39 forever mom, because that's what most of my clients are, so a female age 39, a non-smoker, were to get a $50,000 critical illness insurance policy, it would cost her about $77 a month. It could cost her more than that if she had some health issues or some things like that. But if she's healthy, about $77 a month. And she's going to pay that from age 39 all the way to age 75. And that includes what they call a return of premium feature, which means at age 75, if she's never made a claim on that policy, she gets all of those premiums, that $77 a month for that entire time. She gets that all back. It's really great. And so the number one thing I get from people when I say, oh, and you can add this return of premium feature is, there's no way. Like, that's too good to be true. You're crazy. This isn't real. This is a hoax. There's no way that works. And it really does work. So if you think of it like a investment, you put $77 in a month for, however many years, and then you take it back out. What are you thinking, first of all, before you put that $77 a month in that investment? Let's have a talk about risk, Alannah. What kind of things would you be worried about with that $77?
Oh, I'm going to lose the $77. I'm putting it towards nothing. I could have spent that on how many Starbucks lattes this month to treat myself.
Yeah.
That's for dinner with the girls.
Well, what about who you're trusting that money to? What about the company? Like, what would you be worried about with them?
Insurance companies in particular have such a bad rep. Everybody thinks about insurance in one way. And it's because, sorry to say, the home and auto business. We have to insure our home. We have to insure our car.
No choice.
People don't have a choice. They get this bad clouded vision in their mind that the insurance company is out for my money and they're not there to do anything good.
They weasel their way out of paying me if I make a claim.
I would say 95% of the people that I talk to that are purchasing some sort of insurance, this money's going in the garbage. They're not going to pay out anyways. Newsflash for the life insurance side, which is why I actually moved to the company side. They are here. Okay, the company I work for and others, they're here to support Canadian families. They put these things in place and they know the risk and they know they assess it so that they can actually pay the claim. They make money, yes, but they make enough so that they will pay their claims. We love delivering these checks.
Yeah,
honestly.
it's what keeps the industry up here. If you don't deliver checks, you've shot yourself in the foot.
Yes.
So back to my question, Alannah, if you had $77 a month to put into a policy, you would be asking yourself a few questions about the company you're trusting that money with.
Absolutely.
Like, how long has this company been around?
Yes. How long has the company been in business is first and foremost. You should definitely know about the company that you're investing with or putting your money with, because we know money is valuable. So how long has the company been in business? Do they have reputable advisors selling?
Yeah, like someone with a license or a registration who's passed an exam or two or three.
Yeah,
understands what the product actually is.
Absolutely. Is the company financially stable? Do they have good financials? Do they have good backings? Can you read up on
publicly or privately held, right? If they're publicly held, then you absolutely can check into their financials. If they're privately held, you would have to become a shareholder, which is the case with the company you work for. Policyholders are also shareholders, and thus they see all the financial information.
Right, absolutely. How often or how quickly do they pay their claims? That would be something I'd be interested to know. If I make a claim, what do I have to go through? Yeah. Do I have to go through 200 million papers and fill them out and sign them and date them? And how quickly do I expect the claim? In a year from now, 2 years from now, 5 days from now, 3 weeks from now? That's super important, because if we are investing in this type of policy and we need it, because we're investing in it, we obviously want to be paid on it quite quickly. So absolutely. That's important. What else am I missing?
Yeah, no, I think that's really you've kind of hit on all the ones that I had written down here. So that's perfect. So basically, I'm just trying to make sure everyone watching this video is remembering that when you buy an insurance policy, whether it be home or auto insurance or to insure your income, you want to make sure you know who you're buying it from. Just as if you were investing that money and hoping for a return, So we have a little presentation that Alannah is going to walk us through. One
more quick point I want to make while Lyndsie was talking about that. When you're purchasing a plan, I'm gonna pick on the banks a little bit here, just because there's a few things I want you to know. Not specific. Okay, say it's not a bank. Say it's.
No, I like picking on the banks. So I want you to do it.
Okay. A bank's policy is a group policy. Anything that you would purchase through Lyndsie is an individual policy. The things people get cloudy about, individual policies, so policies you'd be purchasing through Lyndsie, are underwritten at the time that you apply with Lyndsie. If you're purchasing a policy through the bank, whether it's critical illness, life, disability, it's underwritten at the time of claim. So there's more of a chance, and that's why the bad rep is put in place, because insurance companies don't pay.
Yeah.
A bank is not an insurance company, but so
they
many
bought a bunch of insurance companies, so they automatically have made themselves into one, which is fair.
Right. And so many of us here.
Sorry to interrupt you, Alannah, but I know we've got a few people on here, and a few people haven't muted themselves. So everyone, if you go quickly look in the bottom left corner of your screen, there's a mute button there. So hover your mouse over it and then click it, because I can hear glasses clinking and cute little sounds. And if you're, enjoying your beverages with us, that's awesome, but we don't really want to hear it. So cheers.
Cheers. Yeah, so that was just one little side note I wanted to make, because
that's very important.
An aha moment I find a lot when talking with clients.
They're like, oh, I got, super cheap insurance from my bank, and all I had to do was, sign here and $10 a month. Well, yeah, but they don't know anything about your health other than 3 questions. So chances are, I don't know. I think chances are kind of slim that that's actually going to pay out in a lot of the cases. And then sometimes people lie on those applications, and then of course it's really bad because there's no way they're going to get that insurance money.
Yes, and super cheap. I love that you use that term. Super cheap is not always the best. If you're going to go and build a house tomorrow, are you going to build a house with super cheap products that if a windstorm came, your house would be knocked over, like the 3 Little Pigs story? Or are you going to build it out of bricks? It's going to cost you more, but in the long run, you know that you have a solid foundation.
Yeah, exactly.
So speaking of random sucky things, 50,000 Canadians do suffer. Now, this is not to scare you. This is just some statistics that we want you to be aware of. 50,000 Canadians suffer from a stroke each year, and 75% do survive a first stroke. Are strokes included in a critical illness policy? Yes. That means if this group of people had a critical illness policy, 75% of them that survived would be paid their critical illness claim. 82% of victims survive a first heart attack. So again, 82% of those critical illness claims are paid because they've survived. And 50% of the victims are younger than 65. So lots of the times we hear, oh, no, I don't need critical illness. No, I don't need life insurance. I'm healthy. That is great. We love that. Be healthy when you apply for a policy. Why? 1, it's more affordable. And 2, you have more of a chance of actually obtaining a policy. So if something terrible does happen, you have coverage. 2 in 5 Canadians will develop cancer in their lifetime. It's just a chart showing you the difference between females and males. Females are the green, males are the blue. So obviously cancer is the highest risk. And then heart disease, motor vehicle accidents. So if you look, cancer and heart diseases, those are 2 things that we can protect against for a critical illness policy.
And just because Alannah and I are saying things like, that's covered under, we're actually talking about a specific product, which we're not going to mention. So don't assume that every critical illness insurance policy covers everything we're saying.
Exactly. And I'm speaking very general. So that's why you're going to look into the type of product you want to purchase.
Yeah.
But for these slides, the ones that I'm bringing up, whether it's motor vehicle or cancer, I'm showing you that obviously a cancer would be covered. Motor vehicle, we have no control over. It's not health concern, it's an accident, but we're just saying there's more.
You already have insurance for that, right, everybody? Because you have to.
You have to. There you go. How many people in Canada get cancer? So 45% of males, 42% of females. There's cardiovascular disease. So 1 in 2 Canadians have been touched by a stroke. 9 in 10 Canadians have at least one risk factor for heart disease or a stroke. It's crazy.
That is crazy.
Did you know coronary artery bypass surgery performed out of country including a 7-day hospital stay, costs approximately $100,000.
This is the number one thing that I talk to people about when I'm helping them with building a financial plan, is preparing for a critical illness and understanding that there's a really good chance you're going to want to pursue healthcare outside of Canada, or you're going to want to do something that's provided in Canada that's not covered under our healthcare system. And that
Yes.
costs a lot of money. So yeah.
The life expectancy of Canadians is increasing, which is good. But obviously we want, if there's a risk and we can protect it and you need to make a claim on it and you then live after, awesome. We can protect that. But you obviously want to be there if you survive that risk to have money afterwards. So we're just comparing here of health concerns versus natural causes or accidents you can't control. So chance of a house fire is 1 in 1,200. Chance of an accident, 1 in 240. Chance of an individual around age 40 dies before death is before 65 is 1 in 14. Chance of critical illness is 1 in 3. Okay, I'm not here to scare you. I'm just here to give you the stats.
Yes, and those are the only ones I wanted to show out of that whole slide deck. Is that okay?
Absolutely. And just because you see that word critical illness, again, we're not saying you're going to pass away from this critical illness. You're going to, most of the time they survive it. It's just, we're there to protect you.
Where does the money come come from when you're not working and you need to spend money on? Yes, people do fabulous things. Like I was just out at a church camp for the last 5 days. I know a lot of people who are part of a community like that aren't worried as much about something like this because they feel very strongly that they would be provided for from the powers that be. And I absolutely, agree with that. However, it doesn't hurt to protect yourself, and it doesn't hurt to basically ensure your ability to continue your charitable donations, to continue putting your kids in soccer and not have to completely alter your life because a critical illness has hit you. So I'm all for, charity dinners for, people diagnosed with cancer and all these different things that we do to support and lift up a family who's struggling. Absolutely. But at the same time, these kinds of things can really help with that and be a part of that whole procedure. So,
absolutely.
And sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, you see them all the time. You see the GoFundMe pages, you see them on the news, you see them on Facebook, you see them everywhere. And that's great. But that also puts a burden on that family member that's trying to raise money, trying to help you. And if they can't get to that amount that they need to raise and they can't help you because we see them all the time, not everybody can donate every single time. It's hard. You don't want to have to put your family and your loved ones through that. Another point I want to mention is I worked a lot with single moms. And I just asked a simple question, and you don't have to have a $50,000, $100,000 policy. Have a $10,000 policy. Have a $25,000 policy. If it's 2 or 3 Starbucks coffees a month that you're missing out on, that you can have this protection. I just asked a simple question: how would this affect you and your child's life if you're a single mom? Your child can't do anything. At the end of the day, your goal is to protect your child, right? Yeah. So you need to make sure that your most valuable asset is looked after. Absolutely.
And make sure I can still pay for dog food and treats for this little creature too. I have a fur baby and a human baby. I got to take care of both of them no matter what's going on.
Absolutely.
It's just laying on the floor being all noisy and stuff. Okay, so this is supposed to be fun, informative, and interactive. So remember, type your questions in if you have one. That would be awesome. And I didn't actually warn Alannah about this, but we're going to quickly just do a little chair dance to one of my favorite summer songs. So this is just a little break before we do a little more and wrap it all up. So are you ready, Alannah? Oh, yeah.
Stampede.
Alannah's boyfriend plays in a band.
Yes, I do not. But I do love it.
Yeah, I'd love to keep that going because that is a good song, but we got to get back to it. Speaking of Stampede, Alannah and I are going to be doing some stampeding together on Friday. Pretty exciting.
We are.
Back to the point of all of this. So I guess what I want to say is, it's kind of embarrassing to admit, but only like a year ago did I finally buy critical illness insurance for my son and I. I know that's not that long ago. So it's kind of embarrassing, but I can't even begin to explain to you the relief I feel every day knowing that I have that. Like, every day I hear of another person I know that's been diagnosed with something, right? So I feel like it's important for everyone to understand what it is. You know, there's the 3 key types of insurance: life, disability, and critical illness. And of course, critical illness and disability are more expensive than life because you're more likely to become critically ill or disabled than you are to die. Plus, you actually are insuring your income, which could benefit you if you have a critical illness insurance policy versus if you have a life insurance policy. You're insuring your income to maybe provide for your small children if you're not around and you leave your spouse with your small children, which is super important as well. But what I want to wrap it up with is a pretty hard hitting video, literally, it's about tackling risk. Ugh. So I'm going to share my screen again and show this to y'all. Where is it here? Wasn't that awesome?
I would like to have one of those rugby players around just to protect me all day long.
Yeah, right? Like, just walk around and watch out for like bodyguard, essentially. Absolutely. Okay, well, we're getting close to our official end time, so it's time to do the trivia question. So the prize today is not only a signed copy of my book, but inside will be a nice little gift card for Dairy Queen for you, and another to go for a, probably a peanut butter parfait, because that's my favorite. So it probably is everybody's favorite, right? Or a banana split, I don't know. So that's the prize. The question is to do with the game that I will be playing not well on Saturday at the Calgary Rugby Union, which you just saw the New Zealand All Blacks in that awesome commercial. So what I would like one of you to type in the chat box is a rule about rugby, which is unique, and maybe I'm looking for a specific few rules that differs from football, because a lot of people think rugby and football are similar until they see rugby played and they're like, whoa. So type in the chat box a very specific rule about rugby that's unique to rugby, especially compared to football. And while I'm waiting for someone to answer that question or try to answer that question, I want to let you know that both of those videos that I showed you today and many other great videos are on. Oh, look, we have a winner. You can only pass the ball backwards. Yay! Okay, good. So we have a winner for that prize. That's awesome. Good job. Good job. My clients are the smartest people in the world, by the way. So yeah, all these videos can be found at the 39forevermom.com. Thank you so much, Alannah.
Thank you for having me
here today. And we originally really wanted to do this outside because it's so beautiful outside, but we were having trouble with the Wi-Fi outside, so we had to do it inside. Darn it, we gotta work on that. So for everyone for tuning in, remember, random sucky things can happen to you, and if you want to know more about protecting yourself